Buddy the dog. What are you doing, pal? Taking it all in? Yeah, I'd pet you, but my hands are full. We have a very slow start to this day. I have gotten not much accomplished other than editing video, because trying to mad rush and get you that video with that little cockshut tractor in it, which you will probably have seen, I hope, by this point. Oh, dropped my driving beverage. So my plan today is going on a service call, and we'll get started right after this. Welcome back. If you haven't seen my videos before, I'm Rusty Oliver Man. Our little Fiat, brand new, and it's already marking its territory. Excellent. Which tells me there's probably something wrong in there. Seal wise, that's fine. That's fine. We're not going to work on this today because A, it's kind of cold out here, and B, I got a bad situation that I caused, and I feel bad about it, I guess. It's not a bad situation, I just feel bad about the situation. A guy called me, it's been over a year ago. We were out there once, we worked on his 1650, and he's got an 1800, and it wasn't running right. And I took the carburetor apart and told him it probably needs rebuilt. That little diaphragm in the lid, I think, was causing a lot of his issue, because the tractor just wasn't putting out right, and it would load down and stuff, and usually when it's doing what his was doing, it's that diaphragm in the carburetor. So I didn't have any on hand, so I had to order it, and I told him I'll get back with you. Well, get back with you, it's a year later. And he said something once a long time ago, and I said, I'm at the time, I guess it was about this time of year again, and the weather was not good, and so I just never made it right away. Well, then I forgot about it, and he went all through the summer, I guess, with it. It must have run good enough to use, but not perfect. And so he sent me a message the other day and said, is there any chance you could come fix that now before this year? And I said, yeah, I have all the stuff laying there. I feel bad, but that's the way it's been lately. There's just too much stuff, and I just, if it's not here at my house, there's a very long wait list before I will think about it and get to it. You know, at least if it's here, it's probably still going to take a while, but at least it's here, and then I can be gathering supplies or whatever. So that's what we're gonna do. I think I have everything I need loaded up in the truck, with the exception of possibly some of the magical magician's helper friend brake clean, and I should have a case of that down in the building there, so I can grab some cans and go. And then hopefully we can get that done for him, and then that's one more thing off our list, and then we can play with our toys. You know, I've been thinking overnight and gathering parts already. I have stuff on hand. I found my coupler that I have, put remote coupler on it, nicer than what's here, like the factory Oliver style is what I'm saying. And I need to look at some of my other ones and see how I mounted it in there, because I don't think I had it mounted up there. I'm pretty sure that I had it mounted to the side somehow, and then it was in here, which is what I will do, because this is kind of in the way of the 3-point. I get what they were getting at. He wanted it easy to get to for whatever he was using. Who knows what they were using. I really wanted to talk to that guy, because I'd like to know, you know, what they did with it and stuff, but I don't know. I'm also noticing that there's many washers under here, and I wonder why they did that, to try to raise the seat up a micron of an inch. That's very just stuff like that, you know. I could look at a tractor for hours just working out in my brain all the different sorts of things that people did and try to figure out why they did that thing, you know. There's just a lot of interesting stuff like that, but that's okay. That is another day's project. I'm just taking it all in, friends. I'm still a little bit in shock that this is here. I did not think that this would be an attainable piece of equipment. So anyway, you just hang out there and we'll get to you later. I'm gonna grab some brake clean and start heading towards the mountains because it's pretty far away from here where this is at. And then I might take some cans along and bring back some diesel fuel because I think that thing was starting to run out. And with good measure, I mean, on the equipment dealer lot, I'm sure they just kept it with, I mean, minimal fuel in it, because you're not going to give away a full tank of fuel. You know, if you sold a full tank of fuel and everything that was out there, you'd have $10,000 more in fuel, you know. So I get it, but I'm going to, like I said, grab that brake clean and then we'll hit the road. Well, friends, this turned into an ordeal. The highway is closed, which I didn't really know, or maybe I heard that once, but me not knowing any better, just took a county road, and I'm way out of the way, I think, but hopefully I'll come back out on the highway, you know. I'm not real sure where I'm at. I might be now. There's a school bus. If I could see what number it is. Yeah, okay, I know who that is. I know where I'm at again. But we definitely took a different sort of roundabout here. But I'm pretty sure that this will come back out on the highway at some point. Whatever. We've done dumber things and we've been lost before, but I know where I'm at. I just don't ever hardly travel these roads, so I couldn't tell you exactly which one goes where, but I do know eventually this will run into the highway, so we'll be good then. We're making it, friends. I always have a hard time remembering where to turn off of the road to get to his driveway, so, but we made it. He's got a nice little place back here, secluded, so we'll try to keep it secluded, and I'll only show you the tractor, so I'll bring you back in a little bit.
How you been?
Pretty good. I can't complain. Well, I tell you what, that makes almost everything miserable. You know?
It does.
There's no good time.
That's the only way to put it. It just makes everything miserable.
Yes,
You can't do anything, and you can't really do much plowing until it stops.
no, and so
So darn cold. You know,
yeah,
I got lucky. I got the guy that I've let do my hay since I quit. He does it for his cows, and so he feels guilty and comes over and cleans my driveway.
That's not a bad arrangement.
That's not. And then I got a buddy of mine. I've done it with his family forever. I only do about 50 with him.
Yeah.
He's 4,700 a year.
Jeez, that's a
I'm down to
that's
That's a
little bit better. Yeah. Oh my
And
goodness.
that's a square bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that
I got the gas shut off. You want it on? Or
I got it shut off.
Okay.
Yeah, I checked it to make sure.
Second light.
We'll get.
Here.
Oh yeah. We'll get it.
It's working.
I brought everything I thought I'd need, but
I got another one.
I don't know. Yeah, we'll make it happen here.
So, you know, driveway as long as mine, like, nice to have somebody that'll do it, so I don't have to get out and pull.
Yeah.
He's got both a skid steer and a cab tractor with heat and everything.
Well, your end of the driveway by the road is, there's not hardly a straight part in that, so you just about have to have a skid steer to get get that cleaned off good.
90 horse still.
Oh wow, tracks probably and
Yeah.
all works.
Right.
Yeah, I'm just glad that it's disappeared as quick as it has, you know. I thought we'd have that for another couple months lingering around. But
when that one day came,
well, we got 67 degrees the other day, and so yeah, then I mean just a little bit of rain here and there, that pretty well wiped it out. All right. There we go. Let's see. Get this cable on. Got one battery for all the tractors.
no, I just want to make sure one of them works. They roll like they're on.
Yeah, I know. They sit and then they don't. I know. That's all right. Let's just work on this on the truck. I can't get the tailgate down, and that's fine. But this is just as good a place as any because we can see. But I'm betting that I've had this apart once before last year just to check it out. And the biggest issue is this diaphragm in this lid. So we'll take this out and see what we got. I was going to take it and run it through the ultrasonic thing, but I think that we can get it good enough here like this. So we'll just pull her apart. Ooh, crusty's in there. Do we see that? That's the kind of stuff we need to eliminate. Very sensitive floats that are also very expensive, so you don't want to lose them. Let's see here. Get this pulled apart. And we'll get her cleaned up. Does that have trash in it? No. Let's pull this off too. was thinking last time it was slightly pinched. So. Yeah, it's not. Here we go. There's your problem right there. So that's what we're gonna fix. That's okay. I just figured it's. I'm tired of being inside. I've been inside for a week
all the time.
Oh my.
So did you have another carb, or what'd you got?
I got a different kit we'll put in it here. The problem was, and I knew that last time.
Yep.
That little thing right there.
Yep.
That'll do it every time, but it's got some trash in it too, so I'm gonna try to clean it up. I mean, this probably hasn't really run that long on this rebuild.
No, it hasn't.
I was gonna say, I remember,
it has not.
because they had the same problem with that when they put it back together. It was doing the same thing, and then I came in there and I said, well, the problem's got to be that. So they took it off there that day, and I had another one, and they swapped it or whatever, and so it's been from whenever that was till now. So, but it's kind of
so it did it again.
It did it again, or when they put it together, it got pinched again or something. But I'm sure that the rubber nowadays is not the best quality stuff. That probably doesn't.
It was like anything else.
Yeah, it probably does not hold up too good. So it's kind of ridiculous that we got that problem all the time. I mean, you spend so much money on stuff, and then, I mean, they cut corners on the rubber and
anything to make a break.
Yeah. So it's
looks pretty clean on the inside.
Other than that, it's got little crusties.
Oh yeah, I see that.
So we got to get that cleaned out of there. That's going to get sucked in something and cause you some struggles. And it's no fun fixing one of these, because I got an 1800 that I had a sprayer on, and that one year I think I'd make one round and have to stop, and I'd be working on it in the middle of the field, and then finally I'd just take the end plate off, and I could get it out of there with a little short screwdriver and then be messing in there, so I didn't have to take everything loose every time. And
they're hard to find.
Yeah,
replacements.
These carburetors here, and they're not cheap. They're like $1,000,
yeah.
800 to 1,000, and everybody hated them. I don't know why they went to these, because the cast iron ones were as reliable as could be.
Yep.
And then and John Deere did it too, 40-20 gas, and I think 190 Alice Chalmers gas had this square thing. I just don't know why.
Well, I think I don't know. I think the 1650's got a Zenith.
It's probably had a replacement put on it then, a Zenith replacement.
Is that right?
The cast iron ones were Marble Chevelers.
Right, that's what that one is.
And they,
I mean, it was.
And then this one is also a Marble Cheveler, but it's a different series. And so I don't know what.
I think can you replace it with a Zenith?
You can get one. It's hard to find the ones for that size cast iron, because I got another guy who was looking for one, and I said I'll just have to try to rebuild yours. Well, he had taken it all apart and put all the parts in a drawer, so I got it all sorted out, but now I need one little thing.
Of course.
And he said, well, I don't know if I'll find that or not. And I said, well, if you don't, I said, we're kind of stuck because I don't know if I can get that new. So I haven't heard back from him yet if he's.
Well, when you replace them with a Zenith, do they hook right up? You got to change things?
You got to do some adjusting, because the Zenith replacement is more like a universal thing. So the carburetor, or the throttle rod is very adjustable on the carburetor, so you got to get the right position and lock it down, and then you got to go. Once you get it, it's fine, because we've had one on one of ours for years, but it's a trick first to get it all set up right, and then make sure you get it tight so it doesn't all that stuff doesn't keep coming loose while you're trying to use it. You know?
Have you got any new acquirements?
I bought one yesterday.
What'd you buy yesterday?
I tell you, I spent more than what I intended
What
to spend.
did you buy?
A 1255 cockshut front wheel assist. One of those little Fiat built tractors, you know. Like
Oh, yeah.
And
What they call a spaghetti tractor.
Yeah, and so I saw it this winter.
I've never seen a front wheel assist on it.
Very, very few and far between. And as a cockshut, very, very few and far between.
Yeah.
And so they got it in there this winter, and I saw it, and I was going to go look at it just to look it over, because he wanted like $9,500 for it, and that's more than I want to give for one. And so he had it on there, and then the weather got bad, and I never made it. And well, then the next thing I know, he's got it moved over to their auction site, because once a year they have a consignment auction now. They have for the last 3 or 4 years. So then it was listed in the auctions. So I thought, well, I'll go to the auction and I won't get it or whatever. So, and because they also have online bidding. Well, you know, then you're competing with people all over the world.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, can you get it bought or not? Well, so I went yesterday, and I mean, there was a pretty good group of people standing around it all the time. And I thought, well,
so he did that on site too?
He did it on site. And the nice thing was, that probably helped me a little, was if you bought on site, there was no buyer's premium, but if you bought on the internet, it was 5%. And I kind of think places are getting out of hand with that buyer's premium, because they're getting from both ends, you know, on that. And so it had an internet bid of $4,000 already, and so I knew that's where I wasn't going to get any cheaper than that, you know. And I think somebody else bid once. Then I bid $5,500, and then I think somebody else bid, and then he said $6,500, and I said yeah. And I thought, well, the next guy's going to bid $7,500, and I'm not going to bid again. Yeah. And then I said, okay, sold. And so I said, okay, I guess I own it now. So I didn't think it would go for less than $10,000 just because of the rare oddity of it. You know, there's guys out there who collect tractors that don't care what it costs to just let it sit there. You know, so
what's the engine in it?
It's a Fiat built engine.
That's what I thought.
A little, and this is a 3-cylinder, being a 1255.
I thought it was.
I've got quite a collection of those Fiats now.
Really?
And I've got the 2 original ones that, you know, people had trouble with, the 1250 and the 1450. I need to find a 1250 diesel, because that was another variant. You know, they had gas and diesel in the first one, and basically the engines were garbage, and then the rest of the back half is the same as the one I just bought. You know, they came up with a better engine, and they are reliable. Though when they came to that next series, they got them pretty well ironed out, because they still use them over in Arabia. You know, the New Hollands are the same tractor with different paint on them. You know?
Yeah,
so,
that's Fiat engine.
And if you ever look on the internet, you see those guys, and they're in sandals and robes, and they're out there and they're rebuilding it. No cleaning, no nothing. You know, they hammer it together with whatever, and they run all day long. So I mean, they must be tough by now, because they got them where they'll endure all that.
Mickey had a 1250, and he had problems with it.
Yeah, see, they were very.
It had dual batteries, I think, on it.
They were 24 volt. That was one thing people hated, because, and the reason was because those 1250s, the first run, they said those engines were military surplus from like World War II, from the Italian military. So like the gas one I got, once the parts are gone, there's no parts. And the one I had was missing a bunch of stuff, and so I figured out how to adapt to other stuff to make it work. And I'm still ironing out the kinks on it. It's got a goofy little carburetor that sits on top, and it's downdraft. And I found another one of those and swapped it, and it's still acting goofy. So it's just a trick to get it to.
You're just gonna have to drop a sheet of gas in it.
Well, that would be the only problem. Is I'm trying to think if that one's got I guess the gas one's got frame rails, so you could repower it. But the diesel one, the motor's part of the. And that was another thing. If you had the gas or the diesel, nothing from the clutch forward was the same. It had even the front axle was different on the diesel, so you could interchange parts. And so a lot of them got scrapped, you know, in their travels. And but anyway, these lighter ones, like if you want an excellent utility tractor, a 1365 is probably the best ever made by anybody. I've had one for years, and I love it. I mean,
is it 12 volt?
It's 12 volt, and then the only thing that was a killer on those that and that was because people didn't run them properly. The clutch is a 2-stage clutch, but it's not all in the foot on the 1365. For the PTO part, you have a separate handle. You're supposed to lift up, shift your power takeoff into gear, and then let it back down. Well, guys, when they were done, they just flipped that clutch up. Well, it'd keep pushing on stuff the whole time, and it finally would eat into the block and ruin them. And a lot of them got ruined that way. But I mean, if you avoid that procedure, those things are just as reliable as can be. I mean,
have you got it home yet?
I did. I brought it home. Yeah. Of course, I didn't bring the trailer with me, so I had to go back and get it.
Of course,
the only way you can win an auction is if you don't come prepared. You know, I didn't come prepared, and I didn't come with the intent to buy, so I won.
That's the way it works every time.
So, yeah, I just went back and drove it right on the trailer. So it's got a few little issues. It might have come from this territory, come to think of it, because in the toolbox there was things from where it'd been to the Brown County show and had been to several other antique shows, and I thought they said the guy lived in Brown County and he bought it new. The old man was at the sale actually, and I didn't get to talk to him because everybody was talking to me, and he must have went home. Does that ring a bell?
No, but he may be from the northern part.
And that could be. And I mean, he was a little old white-haired guy, kind of chubby, and he had, I guess he sold the tractor to a buddy, and that guy must have traded it, and he didn't even know it was there, and somebody else told him, said, hey, your tractor's up for sale there. So he went, and he said before it sold, he said, there's nothing wrong with it. I traded it, we bought it new. And so I think it's very unusual that was sold new around here. I mean, I couldn't tell you who would have been the dealer in that area.
Well, I do know that back in the, I can't think of his name, but there were several Olivers, a lot of Olivers, and Browns used Olivers, and then they turned to John Deere, and then up north they never did, always used Case Internationals. But there were, in the middle of the county, there were a lot of Olivers.
And I wonder was there like a co-op that sold them?
I think it came out of Seymour.
You really? So they all came from, that's interesting. I wasn't sure if that was the case or not. I know that was a big dealer, so the only thing I could think of, like with this one, how it would have ended up, because it's got another oddity about it, which is it doesn't have a Oliver or Cockshut serial number tag on it. It still has the Fiat tag on it, and every other one I've ever seen everywhere, they took those off and they put their own on and stamped it. And this one doesn't have it. So I'm wondering if somebody said, I want one right now, and this is just what they came up with in a hurry, and it was a red one, and they said, I don't care about that, that's fine. And there it is. But I don't know.
That guy's got a, up at Trafalgar, LA, he's got that Cockshut up there. It's a 60s one, you know, the square front end.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, there was a few around. My neighbor's got one he collected, but I don't know if it might have come from Scottsburg, but who knows if that really was where it actually was new. Somebody there could have got it from somewhere. Yeah. But he has a 1650 Cockshut that's more like it's a kind of like a Wheatland, a non-adjustable front axle, which is what they would have up there because they're wheat country up in Canada mainly. So a lot of that is.
I was partial to their just the design. Now I'm just talking about design. To their
I like
Black Hawk.
Oh yeah, the co-ops, those tractors like the Cockshut co-op tractors.
Yeah, but they're
co-op Black Hawk, I think, and then a Cockshut was different. It was the same tractor painted orange or whatever, you know.
They were cool looking.
I like them too. I've got a couple of them in pieces. I need to.
They're really neat looking.
And they were, I mean, very, I guess, reliably built but cheaply built, you know, so that they could crank them out, you know. And now those sold a lot around, like our co-op before they sold Oliver, they sold those.
Is that right?
You know, and then whenever, that's about the time that, again, maybe that's why they ended up with it. But see, Cordis Hardware was the dealer of Oliver until about this time.
In Seymour?
In Seymour.
Okay.
And then up until the time whenever, I guess, White bought Cockshut, and then that must have been why then Co-op ended up at the dealership, and they took it away from Cordis, and Cordis was upset about that because they'd been, you know, they thought they were doing a good job with where the Rails restaurant is now. That's their building. You know where that is downtown?
Yeah.
That's that. If you eat in there, that's the dealer. That's the. And
right?
If you go on the opposite side, like the 2nd Street side, it's still in the blocks, like up in the glass up there. It says Cordis.
Is that
Hardware.
right?
Yeah, and I've got a picture where they've got a styled 70 sitting there in between those two doors, driving out of there. But it said, so it's pretty neat. But yeah, they sold everything up until probably the 3 digits, and then that's when Co-op took over, and then I don't know, then they sold a ton. It'd be interesting to know how many they actually sold, because they sold, it seems like everywhere, and you know,
it's amazing.
They put one on just about every
I came
farm.
to Brown County, what was in, well, the dealership was Partix was a dealership.
Of Alice Chalmers in Seymour.
And, yeah, and Davis Brothers. Is that Davis? Davis was in, they had Fords, I think.
That they took over when Co-op quit selling Olivers and Whites.
Is that right?
Then they turned it into like a New Holland Ford dealer in the 90s.
Yeah.
But that was later. See, Co-op had Oliver, and then whenever, towards the end of the Whites and stuff, then they took on Case. And they had Case with that too, because they sold all those 1370s and 1570s. Yep. And then after that era in the 90s, then they took on Davis from Salem, like bought it, the dealership part or whatever, and they sold New Hollands and stuff. Yeah. And they would kind of work on Olivers for a while, but then finally they shipped all the stuff down to Borden to Wright Brothers. Yeah. And so then we ended up dealing with him, and I like that old guy. Oh man, he was a good guy, and he knew the stuff. He could, like I said, you could walk in with one little screw out of something, and he'd say, okay, yeah, that's back there in the 3rd bin from the
I called him once and ordered something I lost. I felt like a fool, and he had it.
Yeah, because he ended up with, like, all of Co-op parts he ended up with. He bought everything. He'd buy out dealers, buy all their parts, so there's tons of parts down there just forever in limbo unless somebody would happen to go buy, you know. And stupid, don't laugh. I lost the dipstick on under the seat on my 1800. Really?
And I called him. I said, "You got one?" I said, "1800B." I told him the year. He says, "Yeah, a little kind of short with the cap." I said, "Yeah." He said, "Yeah, I got it." I said, "Well, I'll pay." He said, "Where are you?" I'll send it to you. Just send me the money.
Yeah, yeah. He was very much like that, and he would give you more than what you needed, and then just not worry. I mean, people could have took him for whatever, and he let him.
Yeah, I said okay.
Yeah.
Because you know what I did? I took it off and checked it and put some in it and laid it down, didn't put the cap back on it, and took off. And I was, happened to get off and look down, and that cap was gone, and that thing was gone. I said, I laid that down. Oh, so there's no sense in trying to find it.
I mean, so it better work. I mean, come on. That's not cheap. This is the part that fails, and it's not cheap. That's what I don't like.
That's the way it works.
And
it's never going to be the cheap part.
No. Okay, I think it'll work. This is the part that you gotta be real particular about, because that's how the mistake happens, and then it doesn't run good. And you're fighting that spring, and
that's the way it works.
And maybe part of it is, like if you were plowing with it every day, maybe it'd be different. But
as far as I know, that 1800 of mine has never had a plow on it.
Really? Yeah, because you knew the guy out at New, and he did like logging or something, huh?
I had a guy that did logging after that had it. That's who I bought it off of. The guy before, I think, and it came out of Jackson County. The guy before, I think, what Bob told me, he says, and I know Bob, he said, Dennis, he says, he just ran a grain elevator on it all the time.
Oh, an auger like.
Oh, yeah, that's all he did.
Huh. Well, then it ought to have been practically new.
And then Bob got it, and they drug trees out of the woods with it, but they never had a plow on it that I ever knew. Yeah, I don't know if I told you, Bob used it one time to put out a fire.
Yeah, you told me that story.
They put that grader, that box on it, and drove over that fire line about in 6th gear.
Wow.
About 90 miles an hour, and it put it out just as fast as they drove. Put it right out.
When they came up with this, they didn't think about the guy who had to put it together later.
Yeah, well, that's what always true about engineers.
We've
We've got to remember, engineers never fix anything.
They just come up with the idea, and they.
My friend worked for Cummins, and he and another guy were the troubleshooters. And the engineers would design something on those, Cummins diesels, and they would have a problem. He said what would happen is they'd have it out on the road in a test trucks. They'd bring it back to them and say, "This is not working. You guys are the mechanics, make it work."
Yeah. We need this, but you figure it out.
He said, so that's what we did all the time.
I know they said when they put the first Cummins in the Dodge pickups, said they put it in and they didn't even make it around the block.
Yeah.
I mean, it shook it all to pieces, and then they'd bring it back in and they'd fix this piece and strengthen it. They'd get a little bit farther down the street, and then finally they just, I don't know, they had practically rebuilt the whole truck before they could make it around town.
They don't want to do that.
I guess that thing shook it to death. I mean, the truck couldn't handle it. And
well, they really had problems when they first came out because the transmissions wouldn't take it.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. And everything, all the linkages and stuff, I guess, and the vibration was just eating them up.
A buddy of mine bought one, and before he bought it, I said, Dale, I'm telling you right now, your transmission won't hold up. He said, well, that's pretty good. I said, I know. It wasn't. I bet a year and a half later, and that thing was shot.
Yeah. I know they I've heard all kinds of stories about that. Dad's got one of the next generation ones.
Yeah.
And he, I think he's on the 3rd transmission on that one.
Yeah. They just can't take the power.
That motor will run forever, though. Good grief. That's one thing they got. I mean, they got that figured out. It's just,
It'll be the one you drop.
well,
That's always the way it is.
That's why I like being outside here, because it's daylight. I can see probably, because I'll drop it no matter where we are if we're inside or whatever.
Yeah, every time.
But
I'm the same way.
and then this one.
And I usually drop it after I say to myself, don't drop it.
Yeah, I should have left the old one in there a while ago, because it probably would have been fine. And now I'm fighting. I see why it did what it did while ago. This carburetor design, I don't know.
Yeah, it's
the big, and then another big issue I've had with them before is the float, getting the float right, so it doesn't rub the sides and then hold it open and stuff. And I mean, I looked up the other day, the replacement floats for these, good grief, they're like $600-700 now. I mean,
of course.
So,
well, as you know, it's rarer and more rare.
People have thrown them away, so they, I guess then, the parts go up. But
I remember when they had the big, what do they call it? National Farm Show in Columbus. You remember that?
Yeah, they had the Farm Progress Show there one year.
Show, and they were repowering a 1850 with a Cummins.
Yeah, they had it there, what, 2 times? 3 times?
Yeah, 2 times.
And then they changed it where it's always now in Illinois or wherever. But
he was doing it at the Progress Show.
Yeah.
He was doing it they were putting the Cummins in a...
Who did it? Who was the...
guy? Couldn't tell you.
Was it, I wonder if it was, what's their name down there in Austin? Because they were the AGCO authorized repower center for the whole shebang.
Yeah, what was their name?
what was their name yet now? Now it's on the, I knew it and forgot.
But anyway, they were repowering that 1850 with a Cummins. So
I'll think of it after a while. Let's see. I can see it too. Guy. I can too, and I can't think of now what his name was. Yeah, well, I'll think of it after a while.
I think back then it was, if I remember, the cost to repower that 1850 with that diesel, I can't remember which one it was, but it was $9,000.
Boy, that's cheap.
Well, that was back then.
Yeah.
That was back then.
Yeah, now if you did that, man, you probably have twice that much in it.
So, yeah, I think it was $9,000.
Yeah,
because I priced it.
To have it done, huh?
And I thought, yeah.
They've come a long way too. Now the ones who do it, that Maybach and they sell the kit, and he's got it down to where if you didn't know, you wouldn't know that that was repowered. They do it without ever messing with sheet metal or anything and make it fit in there, and it's beautiful when they're done. I mean, so they've come a long way. I've seen some that were real hack jobs, and I don't like that. I like it when you can't tell that it's that's what it is, you know. So I don't know. Maybe one of these days I'll find one that's bad enough that I think I want to try that with. But they've even got it now where you can send the tub and they'll put it on a big CNC machine and it'll cut all the new mounting plates you need and grind out the old stuff, and
it's probably all computer.
And it all looks it just looks perfect when it's done. Yeah, back then you really had to go hacking at it to get all that in there, you know. So
well, being old school, my son always reminds me, you know, being old school, I talk about, you know, when I bought a car, back in my day, if your car had 80,000 miles, it was done.
Yeah, yeah.
And now they go and James, my son, said to me, he said, Dad, he said, this last Honda I bought, he said, Dad, you gotta understand, he said, back in your day, he said, they cut those blocks with a measuring tape and a hacksaw.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why they put all the damn gaskets in it. He says now it's computer done. He says the tolerances are.
You can just screw it together and it won't leak because it's all laser cut.
He says the tolerances, Dad, don't leak. And I said, yeah, I guess that's true.
Yeah, hacksaw.
Yeah, that's probably true.
I know, it's amazing. Them old timers, they could accomplish a lot with nothing.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure
they had nothing like what we have now, and they could get it done. And now people act like it's impossible, and we've got automated stuff. And I mean, they used to have like Popular Mechanics articles where you took an engine out of a car and sawed it in half and made a garden tractor out of it, you know. And anybody could do that, you know.
Yeah, right.
I mean, let's get this put back in. Oh, I know what I accumulated last year.
What'd you get?
Well, Worley's went out of business. Do you know that?
I did not.
Okay, so I saw in the middle of the night, I got on the Facebook Marketplace, saw this ad that said selling bulk tractors and parts, and I recognized the hoop building in the background, but it was the salvage people who were selling it. So I sent her a message and said, what's the deal? And said, well, she said, you have to be here Friday and we'll take you, let you look around or whatever. So I went, and they basically, it was all going to go in the dumpster unless you bought. So I said, well, I'll buy all this stuff. And so they gave me a roll of tape and said, put a ribbon on what you want so we don't throw it in the dumpster before you get it all hauled out of here. And so I did, I think I hauled 9 loads out of there.
Oh my Lord.
And it was, yeah, loading it by hand, parts. I mean, I bought a few complete tractor carcasses, and one of them I got running, actually. It was stuck, and I got it to run, and a Super 77 gas.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got a 77 diesel. They were sitting there together. So I've got to put it back together. I got it unstuck too. and I had to have the injectors clean, and then I can try it and see if I can just get it to run for fun. But it really needs a rebuild. But I bought all kinds of parts and stuff because they were going to go in the dumpster, and every time I'd go, it was a mad rush. It happened in like a week's time, and I made trip after trip, and that was a headache. I mean, and yeah, now it's all, there's nothing there now. They sell plastic barrels, whoever bought that property. So
Morley's just quit, or they retired?
he, I guess, kind of wanted to retire, and
nobody wanted to take over?
No, well, or they didn't want to make his price, but then this place bought it and just junked it all. But that was foolishness. They could have made more money if they would have went through there and picked out 75 tractors that were fairly complete and just took them to an auction somewhere and let them sell for whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't know, if I would have had more money and more time to think about it, I probably would have bought a lot more, because there was tractors in there that you could have put gas in and I think started up and drove out of there.
Really?
And they all got busted up and went in the trash. So they chopped them in, they loaded them. It was something to watch because it was pretty violent. But they'd dump them in these rollaway dumpsters on trucks, and then they took them up there to their yard, and then they'd shear them in pieces and left them sit there till the price went up so they could make more money, I guess. But it was a shame. I mean, there was a lot of good stuff wasted, parts, and that last load I got out of there, though, I was over it. I had to get it out of a semi-trailer, and they had them all on shelves and stuff, but I had to walk from probably over to where your 66 is sitting to right here, back and forth, 2 hands at a time, and throw it on the trailer. And I was over it by the end of the day. I had the trailer rounded up out there, and
oh my God.
Now I get to take the picture again because I wasn't paying attention. Yeah, it was no fun. And like I said,
Yeah, but you got something out of it. I mean,
oh, I got something out of it. Yeah, a lot of stuff. There was a guy who, he saw that I was doing that on the internet, and then he came down from northern Indiana, and I think he bought everything that was in the trailers and everything that was in the hoop building.
Really?
So some of that did get saved and went up north.
Was he an Oliver guy?
He was an everything guy because I bought all the Oliver stuff. Okay. So he just sells tractor parts on eBay and different stuff, and I have seen it. I can't think of what it, Davidson Tractor Parts is what he's called. And yeah, you want to see what gets me. I could have had anything I wanted in that whole place for the price that they gave me by the weight. And I just was thinking about Oliver's. I wasn't thinking about all the other stuff I got. Yeah. And then I ended up needing a steering valve for my John Deere, and I bought it from that Davidson for like $500 and some, and it had come out of that junkyard. I could have had it for $50, you know. I mean, but I wasn't thinking about it that day. I was thinking one track mind, you know. Yeah, and then so that was unfortunate. I mean, but it's okay. I still got it, and I thought it was reasonable. So
I sometimes wonder, Ross, what's going to happen when
it's going to be,
you know,
extinct.
Guys like us,
I mean,
you know, these tractors are going to go to the side. Nobody wants.
That's what I'm wondering too. Like I always tell people, I said, all this time I spent getting stuff out of the junkyard, and it's all going to go right back.
Yeah, because people aren't. I'm not sure. You know, a lot of people are not interested in that sort of stuff.
Well, they don't want to work on it, or they don't want to pay for. They think it's silly to pay money to fix these, but think about what it costs to get a different one of the same size. I mean, I still think you're money ahead to fix some of this stuff than versus just buy a new one, and it'll last really indefinitely if you can keep it, you know, in good order.
The other thing I have, and maybe it's just because of, you know, where I live, but I got a real concern here, and of course a lot of guys do, with weight.
Yeah, because of hills and stuff.
Ones don't have any weight.
No, they're all plastic and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have a second chance on that. If you start sliding down the side of the mountain, you're going to the bottom.
Yeah.
I mean,
you know,
so, yeah, I don't know what they do. I guess fill them with fluid and weight them down a bunch or what.
Well, they don't have any weight at all. When I bought that big round mower, I was talking to Greg, and he said, horsepower, he said, Dennis, you don't have to worry about horsepower. He said, now you don't have to worry about weight. He said, but anybody else who buys one with the newer tractors, they have to worry about weight.
Yeah.
On those 565s. And
yeah, pulling it down, up and down hills and stuff.
And I bought my bush hog off of Chris, you know Chris Collins up in Thorntown.
Yeah.
I bought my bush hog off him in the middle of the winter. I think he was very agreeable. And, I said, I'll give you this price to bring it to me. He said, oh, okay. And anyway, I was talking to him, and he said, wait a minute, before I sell that to you, he said, what you got? And I said, well, I'm going to put it on the back of Oliver 1550. He said, oh, you're fine. And I said, why? He said, well, that's a heavy duty. I said, yeah, that's why I want it. He said, well, some guy bought that. He said, he had it on a Kubota. He said, and there was no weight on the tractor.
Yeah.
He said, he couldn't use it. He said, and I told him when he bought it, I said, well, didn't the guy tell you that when you bought it, of course, Collins bought it used.
Yeah.
Didn't the guy tell you that that tractor's too light for that thing? He said, no.
Yeah, they just wanted to make a sale. They didn't care.
And he told me, he says, I want to make sure you had a tractor that can handle it. He says, you got a 1550 Oliver, you won't have any trouble.
Yeah.
I said, no, I know.
Yeah, and then another thing is, from the factory, they had it balanced. So it's got like 1/3 and 2/3 weight distribution, and then if you pull hard, it makes it like 50-50. That's why the grill's cast iron.
Right.
But some of those places, I think they just put a tractor together and worry about it later, whether it works out, and that's why you see they got monstrous amount of weight hanging on the front and stuff to try to get it evened out, you know. Yeah, okay. I think we're ready to check battery and experiment with I'll turn the gas on and watch it leak all over the place.
Well, you know what happens? When you get that cold weather, that stuff shrinks.
Yeah, and starts leaking. That's why I thought today wasn't too bad of a day. Maybe I could get this done. Tomorrow, I guess it's supposed to be super cold again, you know. Yeah, get used to start getting used to the warm weather and then start freezing. Yeah, let's see what happens. That's so long, we may end up having to sand the points. I don't know. Or has it got electronic?
It's got electronic.
Okay. I'm suspecting that this one might have a distributor problem too. Okay. Because that popping, it's like it's changing time wrong.
I see.
and I can't seem to get that out of it no matter what I do. If I, like right now, the carburetor I think is adjusted pretty good.
Okay.
But the rest of that, I just...
What distributor's on it?
This has got that, the 1600 and 1800 used them. I think they were a Presto Light. I can get a better one like what I did for that one, which, I don't know.
Delco?
Yeah, then it uses the old style stuff.
What do you mean old stuff?
Well, like your 77s and 88s,
Oh,
66
yeah.
used. But that's what I'm wondering. I'm wondering if this distributor has a...
Now, do you think, and that's an honest question, do you think that the electronic ignition is screwing it up?
And that's what I'm wondering too, if that doesn't have something to do with it.
Well, if you put the new distributor on, would you put it back the way it was?
Yeah, I would have points in it.
That didn't bother.
And then it would have we wouldn't need this,
And Ross, I don't object to putting it back the way it was.
okay.
I don't object to that at all.
Well,
I
I
just
mean,
thought
the thing that'll gain you there too is, I mean, this has turned 1,000,000 times by now, and it's probably pretty wore. And I found, and I found that on, especially like those, it just, you can get to a point where it just will not run, and then you put that other one in, and it's night and day different, it just works. So, I mean, we did that to that one, didn't we? And it
it ran all summer. It ran all summer.
And so that's what I'm wondering is if, and see, then there's stuff like, I've had goofy problems with these electronic ignition. I never was a fan of them because of the headaches they caused, and you couldn't tell that they were the problem.
Exactly.
But I bought a car one time, and the guy had put it on there, and when you hit the brake lights, it would mess with it, and it wouldn't run right, and I couldn't figure that out. And it was, he had wired it in through the factory wire for the distributor, but that wire was losing enough voltage whenever you hit the brake lights that it was making the thing miss out and act goofy. And so after that, I just became a fan of not electronic ignitions anymore.
I'm all in favor if you want to change the distributor.
Okay.
You don't have one on it, do you?
No, I should keep them though, because I go through, I don't know how many of them I used this last year, 3 or 4. All right, so if it is not apparent, we are going to be coming back another time and working on this. I got it where it runs pretty decent-ish, but I believe that we have some distributor and ignition problems. It's got an electronic ignition put on it, but I'm also suspecting that that's maybe causing us some struggles. And he was on board. He said, why don't you just get one like you did to the 1650 and change that all out and tune it up. So that's what we're gonna do. So we will be back at some point, but today we're gonna call this a half win. We got that carburetor diaphragm changed, and it does run a lot better now, because before you couldn't even get it revved up. It was just loaded all the time. So I think we got that fine, but now we need to work on the rest of it. So we're going to call this one here. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. After watching what you just saw, do you feel like your IQ has dropped lower than your credit score? Well, there's no reason that both of us should be miserable, so go ahead and hit that thumbs up and leave a comment. That stuff costs you nothing, and it really helps me out. Your banker may not approve, but I know mine will. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.